She thought she could take everything. She was still smiling when I walked out. That's the part I keep coming back to. Not the words she said, not even the look on my husband's face. Just that smile, patient, calm, certain, the kind of smile worn by someone who had never really been told no. My name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old, a licensed architect, and I own a 2-bedroom condo in Seattle. I bought that condo with my own money 3 years before I ever met my husband, and I'm telling you that for a reason. Because before this story is about marriage, family, betrayal, or boundaries, it's about something that belonged to me long before any of them entered my life. I met my husband, Daniel, at a mutual friend's dinner party. He was funny, warm, and incredibly easy to be around. He worked as a freelance graphic designer. Some months were good, other months were slow. I never cared about that. I had enough financial stability for both of us, and I genuinely didn't mind. What mattered to me was how I felt when I was with him. He made me feel like myself. For a long time, that was enough. We dated for 2 years before getting married, and from the beginning there was one other person who was always part of Daniel's life, his sister Renee. Renee was 38, divorced, had no children, and lived about 20 minutes away from us in a rental apartment she complained about constantly. She was charming, very charming. She laughed quickly. She knew exactly how to make people feel included. But she was also incredibly observant. She noticed what other people had, especially what I had. I noticed it the first time she visited my condo. She walked from room to room, pretending to admire everything: the furniture, the artwork, the espresso machine on my kitchen counter. "You have such good taste," she told me. At the time, I smiled. Now I realize it wasn't really a compliment. It was an inventory. She was taking mental notes. But I told myself she was simply admiring my home. I told myself that's what family did. Then, 8 months after Daniel and I got married, the first request came. Renee was hosting a birthday party and casually mentioned that she needed a folding table. Did I have one? Could she borrow it for the weekend? I did have one. So I said yes. The weekend came. The table didn't. When I asked Daniel about it, he looked uncomfortable. "She still has it," he said. "I'll remind her." He did. Renee promised she'd return it soon. Soon became 3 weeks, then 6. Eventually, I stopped asking. It was a $40 table. I didn't want to be the kind of person who made a big deal over $40. I didn't know it then, but that was exactly what Renee was counting on. After that, the requests became more frequent. A set of kitchen chairs, a standing lamp, a Belgian linen duvet cover I had bought in Portland, a set of copper measuring cups, small things, polite things. Every time there was an explanation. She needed it for a party. It would look better in her apartment. She admired it so much that I almost felt guilty saying no. And every time Daniel said the same thing, "I'll handle it." But handling it usually meant mentioning it once, and then letting the issue disappear. I want to be honest about something. I'm not a passive person. At work, I'm precise. I'm direct. I don't let people cross boundaries. But inside my marriage, I had learned a different kind of patience. I called it generosity. I called it love. I told myself that marriage meant making things easy, giving, compromising, not worrying about the little things. But the truth was much harder to admit. I was letting someone slowly empty my home, one borrowed item at a time, while I stood there and called it grace. Then came a Saturday in November. Daniel was at a client meeting. I had just come home from a run when I walked into my living room and found Renee standing beside my antique console table. She had a tape measure in her hand. And she had a key to my home. Daniel had given it to her months earlier for emergencies. She was literally